Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for being late. We were at a Transportation Committee hearing. Mr. Boswell, I noted, though, in your testimony, you talked about use of advanced fraud analytics, and you say these are not commonly utilized in most states. What states are using them, and are there any statutory barriers to use of such fraud analytics with the SNAP program?
Thank you, Congressman, for the question. From Conduit's perspective, in the states that we service, and we service 25 states today as the EBT processor, we deliver a data warehouse and business intelligence tool to approximately 12 of those. Of the 12, 2 have made an investment into, or either through their procurement process, required an advanced fraud business intelligence tool, which Conduit provides. To my knowledge, there are no restrictions or prohibitions that would disallow a state from participating in the use of that particular tool, but we find it extremely valuable. Our clients have found it to be extremely valuable, and the use of not necessarily suggesting that fraud is rampant or that there is a program integrity issue, but assisting them in investigation purposes, insisting in providing weighted, scored factors against certain transactions and how individuals are using and performing their card transactions to further their investigative purposes.
I mean, among the issues that you mentioned in your testimony are odd hours of transactions in large amount, large percentage of a total availability of the benefit that's on the card, address changes across large zip code differentials, et cetera. Which of the states, you mentioned there are 2 states that are using the advanced analytics. Which states are those? From
Conduit's perspective, we have 2 that use the advanced analytics, and that is the state of Ohio and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Okay. All of our participating states with our base business intelligence tool can utilize some of the components that you just spoke of.
Okay, and Secretary Glisson and Ms. Aronson, do either of your agencies use such advanced analytics?
No, we don't have a formal use of data analytics. I can tell you that we do believe that because of the integrated system, it does allow us to have at least some control, some fraud control. In the old system, the way it was set up is that you would go into a county, a caseworker would work one-on-one, face-to-face, generally with a SNAP recipient. A lot of the information that was taken in was done based upon just the information that they had. There was a lot of room for misunderstanding. Under this system, there are fields. All fields have to be filled in by the caseworker. They will be dinging certain databases. So there is, we believe, a less subjectivity that the caseworker will have in this instance, and so hopefully it will be able to detect some fraud, and that's our hope.
And Ms. Aronson, in terms of New York City and I guess by corollary New York State.
Well, Congressman, I can speak to New York City, not as well to New York State, but HRA does use data analytics to identify eligibility and trafficking fraud. We have a dedicated large unit of fraud investigators who regularly receive tips from the USDA, from OTDA, from the public, and we rigorously investigate all of those allegations.
Could you be so kind as also to provide for the record to the committee information as to the City of New York and your ability to use these analytic systems to detect and weed out fraud in the system? I would appreciate if you could send that. And also, lastly, do our data systems readily make it available for merchants to restrict certain purchases? I know you're not allowed to buy alcohol or cigarettes, for instance, or paper products with EBT SNAP benefits. How easily would New York City, for instance, from your vantage point, I know you sought a few years ago to have a demonstration to restrict the use of soda purchases with food stamps, and the Obama administration rejected that. How easily would you be able to implement such a thing with your merchants in New York City if we gave you the authority to do that?
Well, again, I can speak from New York City's perspective. Of course, our state holds the contract for our EBT provider. And so it's likely that they would need to answer how easy it would be for them to implement that. And I'm happy to follow up with them as well.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.